I guess we'll begin this session, the international panel session. We've been very excited to get this one underway. It is that going to come across right there? We have an esteemed panel of asset management specialists, engineers, and so on from around the world. And we have the first session is going to take place for the first hour, and we're basically going to be covering Asia, Southeast Pacific, with presentations from China and South Korea and New Zealand / Australia. Our Kiwi is going to cover both of those continents, I guess. And then we're going to have a bit of a break to have a discussion about what we heard. There will be a coffee break, and then we're going to get an interesting session. We've got the folks from UK coming in by video conference, so this is a first attempt for CSCE to try this. Let's hope the technology works. And we have Canada and US also in that second session. And we'll have some panel discussions, and we're going to have audience discussions. And I very much want this session to be a dialogue about infrastructure around the world, so that by the time we are finished, we'll have had some appreciation for not necessarily the state of affairs on a global basis in a holistic fashion, but some glimpse of what is happening in different parts of the world. And when we share that information, I think it becomes very useful. So we're trying to make this a dialogue-oriented session. The speakers are going to present 15 minutes or so to seed the discussion, and we will hopefully all be entertained, educated, and have a broader understanding of perhaps more of the global issues that are happening in infrastructure today. The first three panelists, and I hope I don't do injustice to their names, however, I'll give it a whirl. Our first speaker is going to be from China, Jiheng Li. Better known as Henry as far as I'm concerned. He offered me that as the option, and his business card showed that. So Henry Li is an associate professor at the with Institute of System Engineering in the Automation Department at the Tsinghua University in China. Did I do okay with that one? Tsinghua. Yeah. There we go. His research interests and expertise is in the transportation systems, dealing with intelligent information, transportation systems, traffic operation management, safety and operations. He tells me he's also a consultant for the Beijing Traffic Center, Center. And I have a feeling he has the ability to hand out tickets. If you're at in Beijing driving, he might be able to give you some trouble if you're not driving the way you should. Our second speaker after Henry is going to be Kai-Woon Choi. Yeah. Dr. Choi is from South Korea. He is a professor with the Department of Civil and Environmental System Engineering at the University of Incheon, and I probably didn't say that right. Yeah, Incheon. And he's also director with the International Center for Urban Water Hydroinformatics Research and Innovation. More than 30 years of experience in the field of water resources, worked with a number of associations and universities in Korea and in the US, including working as chief of the Incheon Regional Environmental Technology Development Center and assistant senior design engineer with the Hyundai Engineering and Construction. He's published well over 200 papers in the field of water resources and has presented nationally and internationally and holds a doctorate degree from Colorado State University. So we're looking forward to his presentation. And our third panelist this morning is Dr. Ian Greenwood. Ian is presenting and representing New Zealand, and he offered Australia as well, but he is a Kiwi at heart, I believe. He's a partner with Opus International Consultants, where he holds a position of technical principal in infrastructure asset management. More than 19 years of international experience in asset management, and he's worked in various places around the world. Also well published and co-authored with probably some of the material that a lot of us have used these materials, the International Infrastructure Management Manual. He was co-author of that manual, and also Optimized Decision Making is another one, a manual that's part of that series. He is identified by the World Bank as a specialist in the management and operation of performance-based contracts, and has undertaken asset valuation exercises and of municipal assets throughout large international airports, and advised on organizational restructuring to deliver more effective outcomes. And with New Zealand, Ian is a member of the government task force examining the expenditures in the transport section, and chairman of the Business New Zealand Transport Group that consults to the New Zealand Treasury on national infrastructure plans. So well-accomplished individuals all, and I'll introduce them a little bit later, but the other three speakers are going to be from the UK. We have Rhys Davies, who will be coming to us by video conference. We have Mr. Bill Wallace, who comes to us from the US, and Mr. Guy Filio, who hails here from Canada, and we'll hear about them in the second session. So without further ado, and try to keep well on our schedule, because we've got a fair bit of material to get introduced to you, but I'm really looking for the conversation to take place and leave room for that. So I'm going to have Dr. Lee start us off with a perspective of the issues on infrastructure in China.
Thank you. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us for this sustainable infrastructure panel discussion. Since 2000, I have been working for Tsinghua University, one of the leading universities in China. I feel honored to be involved in the design process of world transportation infrastructure, building, operation, maintenance procedure in China, a great country with a rapid development of economics and an emerging market of transportation infrastructure. This presentation is structured to give you a quick introduction on the comprehensive transportation infrastructure of China, both from the perspective of recent development trend and the future planning. The outline of presentation is as follows. Let me start by building an understanding of the recent development of current state of the transportation system in China. Based on the review of the world country's infrastructure situation, I will propose two examples of urban transportation development, Beijing and the Tianjin Eco-City. After this, I will briefly overview the national transportation infrastructure planning for 2020. In the past 15 years, Chinese economic has grown rapidly. The annual average growth rate is over 10%, making it one of the fastest growing emerging economics in the world. The living standard has improved properly. 400 million people have shaved off poverty. It is calculated that GDP in China has been up to nearly 40 trillion RMB yuan in 2010. And from 6.08 trillion RMB yuan in 1995. The Chinese GDP in 2010 ranked the second of the list of the world. China now is the world's second trade partner. This table shows the unprecedented urbanization in China. China urbanization rate increased by nearly 60% in 2009 from nearly 30% in 1995. The average annual growth rate is 1%. The city and town population has increased more than 400 million in the last 30 years. The increasing speed is unprecedented in the world. It's estimated the population in cities will increase to 1 billion in 2020, which means that about 400 million people will move to city and town from rural areas. So great pressure will be put on China urban transportation sustainable development policies brought by the quick urbanization. So the explosive modernization growth is emerging after auto industry was listed as one of China's mainstay industry. The total number of cars is from 27.42 million in 2004, increased by 85 million in September of 2010. The total number of motor vehicles has reached 200 million, include 1 million added in the past 6 years. With the income level increased rapidly, individual traffic demand increased greatly. The number of family cars rises years by year. The family consumption of motor vehicle is new popular trend in future. China has ranked the first in other car-produced countries and second in other car-consuming countries. The figure indicated that the increase of annual automobile production in China, the production of automobile from 1 million, near about 1 million vehicle in 1992 increased by 3.25 million vehicles in 2002. The average annual growth reached near 15%. Meanwhile, driving is a part of the life goal to Chinese rather than simply a transportation mode. Chinese have been working very hard for years to improve their living standard. The most tangible life goal are car and house. It's likely to change people's transportation mode